Peter Schrager here on the Rich Eisen Show from Good Morning Football and Fox Sports. How are you, Peter? Did I nail that? Did I kind of stick the landing on John Schneider's 2 cents on the subject, or am I off?
Kind of. You did a good job, and Dr. Melfi's a great reference to the greatest television show to ever hit the airwaves.
Yes.
I'll tell you, I spoke with sources in Chicago, and the feeling I get is almost like, we didn't ask for this. Their agent named us, and that's when we got involved. Like, the Bears have this thing where Mark Rogers, the agent, tells Adam Schefter that Chicago's one of the teams, and the Bears pounced immediately. And lest us think that the Bears didn't go for this, you're right, Rich. There's nothing they can do. They didn't have a quarterback they could offer, but they offered just about everything else. I'll tell you that. I don't have all the details, but I've spoken with folks in Chicago, and let's just say they came to the table with what they could offer. And at the end of the day, they were all in Fargo together. John Schneider, Ryan Pace, Matt Nagy. There were conversations being had. They were there for Trey Lance's pro day last week. And unfortunately for Bears fans, Russell Wilson wasn't being traded. And so to the fans who are like, we got it, we should never have dropped the phone. Well, it'd be nice to have Josh Allen, too. You can't just trade for Josh Allen. It'd be nice for Mahomes, too. You can't just trade for him. So they went down the list, and Winston was a conversation. Look, he's already got Sean Payton's eye, and he's a year into Sean Payton's system. That made sense for both of them. Ryan Fitzpatrick, they looked at, 38 years old, never been to a playoff game. I don't know, is that an upgrade from Dalton? And then they went through it with Alex Smith and the rest, and it was like, here's Andy Dalton, 33 years old, can still throw the football. He's not going to hurt you. He might not win you many games with his arm, but he's certainly not going to lose you many games with his arm. Let's roll the dice for a one-year deal. But, gosh, I wanted the Russell Wilson thing to happen, too, if I'm a Bears fan. It just wasn't. And unfortunately, this really was all started by Russell Wilson's camp, even putting Chicago out there.
So I guess because that was my next question, and you kind of answered it with the plan B, because, when you said Fargo, it did jump out at me, like, that the Bears fans are kind of viewing them like Jerry Lundegaard trying to scratch out the VIN numbers to throw off the scent on exactly how this all started. You know what I mean? And so the plan B is now, I guess, to go run off to the hotel to try and escape the NFL Bears fans police by saying Andy Dalton's our best option. Is that truly their only best option? I mean, like, what was their plan going into the offseason fully? I mean, like, you could see the writing on the Trubisky wall way back even to last year's training camp where they were hoping Foles was going to push him. So what was the plan before Mark Rogers did open his mouth to Schefter to say, we'll go to Chicago? I mean, what about that one?
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I think Andy Dalton might have been on the top of the list even then. Look, they decided last year that Trubisky was going to have a one-year opportunity to prove himself. They didn't pick up the option. They could have done what the Eagles did and signed Wentz to a $100 million deal and then be kicking themselves and having to trade him 60 cents on the dollar 2 years later. They could have done what the Rams did and kind of put lipstick on a pig here and said, look, we got Stafford, but you also did sign Goff 2 years ago to that $100 million deal. The Bears went against the grain, didn't sign Trubisky to that big deal. They're probably happy they didn't sign Trubisky to that deal. And the way the cards fell, the Darnold trade wasn't happening. I don't even know if they explored Sam. Cam Newton wasn't happening. I'm not even sure that was an option. But they looked at this offseason and said, okay, there's going to be some quarterback options. Let's see what we can do. Unfortunately for them, they went to the playoffs, and they have the 20th overall pick. So they can't just say it's going to be Trey Lance. It's going to be Justin Fields. So the best option that they believed that was still currently on the table was Andy Dalton. Look, they're not doing flips right now. They're excited to have a new quarterback, and they think they can win with Andy Dalton because of how good their defense is and because what they're building, and that Dalton is a formidable NFL quarterback. But sure, they understand this isn't one that the fan base necessarily going to be doing parades over. And, the Fargo reference and the Shemmy and Francis McDormand, all of that,
yes.
I'm picturing them in the snow, kind of like with the footprints in the snow and just kind of getting through this. But who knows? A year from now, we could be looking at this and saying either A, Dalton went 10-6 and the defense is really good, and look, they're back to what they were a couple of years ago, or we could be looking at, hey, they're 5-11 and Matt Nagy maybe isn't the quarterback whisperer we thought, because here's another quarterback that couldn't get it done. I think they know the time is up, and they know what time it is. And for them, Andy Dalton is who they're putting their eggs in the basket with.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.